Hello, everybody. I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to order. My name is Tristan Miller, the Saucy Sleuth.
I'm Tyler Riley, cop and a half.
And I'm Melissa Meli, the spy.
Just a reminder, today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/adcpod and browse the unmasked selections of audio programs. Download title free and start listening. It is that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/adcpod. My name is Werner Herzog, and you're listening to the Amateur Detective Club. My recommendation is go outside. Actually, I'm in the middle of a reading from my local library, Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. I am sure there is an excellent audiobook version of that available on Audible. That's my recommendation. Y'all got anything
to recommend?
Mm-hmm.
Stay inside. It's cold.
Oh, it's so
Sweaters.
Nice. It's crisp, and I love it. Today we're talking about Poirot, Season 2, Episode 9. The Kidnapped Prime Minister.
Yeah.
In which a Prime Minister is kidnapped. The same joke I made when we read the short story years and years ago. We last month, I think, was our 2-year anniversary of doing this podcast.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
And you covered a lot of the big things.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we did. It was so complicated, but this one's not very complicated. It's based off of a short story from Poirot Investigates, right?
Yes, it is.
That's it. That's all. That's my sentence.
Yeah.
Cool. So the episode begins at a train station.
Woo woo, chicka chicka.
Oh, that's right, it does.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And Jap and a few other officers are waiting on the arrival of the Prime Minister.
Of England.
They've been... I mean, yes. That is a good point because sometimes stories do take place in other countries. So they are waiting for the Prime Minister of England to arrive, and we learn that his car has been diverted.
Uh-huh.
And they're like,
Oh.
what?
And he's
What's
an
going
hour
on?
late.
Yeah.
He's more than an hour late. And then they're like, and then he finally shows up.
And we find out that there was an attempt at kidnapping the Prime Minister, but the kidnapper was foiled.
He's got a big bandage.
Because he was shot at.
Yeah.
And he got shot in the
grazed his
face. So his face is all bandaged up.
Mm-hmm. Like, you know, when a cartoon character gets the mumps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much like that. Yeah. And then we cut to Poirot and Hastings
Yep. At Taylor's.
at a tailor's. And he goes in, and the tailor tells him that he has gained a half an inch on his waistline. And Poirot says, no, I haven't.
Yeah.
Your tape measure has gone wrong.
Mm-hmm. He's drunk.
Yeah. And the tailor... It's like, yeah, everyone says that.
Mm-hmm.
That must be it.
And I love Hastings' expression this entire conversation. He's like this weird, vain egg man.
Yeah. It's great.
I don't know when I started. Oh, because he has an egg-shaped head. He's described in the book. I was like, I don't know when I decided to call him an egg man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sonic got it wrong again.
Yeah, should have been Suchet.
It should have been Suchet as Dr. Robotnik.
Yep. Eggman.
Well,
That would have been so weird. That would have been such a strange... Anyway.
So good.
there you have it.
If you will, that would be a dream casting.
If you agree with the casting, say aye.
I
Why not?
live a little.
There is at some point in this episode, I believe, where someone is eating an egg, and it's not relevant to anything except that Poirot makes an amazing face because the guy just crashes into this egg.
Yeah.
Like
That is
shell
so
and
wrong.
all. It's just terrible. Because I was making a comment about how great egg cups were because they're such a bonkers piece of...
Very specific invention.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is also what I call my athletic cup that I use. It's my egg cup.
I don't know whether to say congrats or I'm sorry.
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. poached.
I have
Let's
no
move on.
comment at all.
As well, you shouldn't. This is a man's problem. No.
Oh, God.
This is a man's body. You keep your late opinions to yourself.
Good.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
It's early. We're all tired. Tyler and I love to get nasty when we're tired. And Tyler almost spit out his coffee. So what happens next in the episode? He's at a tailor, and then he gets home, and then there's been a call, and he's like, I don't want to deal with a call. And Miss Lemon's like, you should probably go see it's the head of catering. No, it's the head of
Wait, what is it? The head of, like...
the MI6 or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
The head of the Justice League has to meet
Yep.
Poirot.
So Batman.
Batman.
Is he the head of the Justice League, or is Martian Manhunter the head of the Justice League? He's certainly not Superman. Who is it? Is it a democracy? Is it a totalitarian dictatorship?
I'm not
Is
as
it
familiar
Beast
with-
Boy?
Don't they have like a
definitely
Bosley or someone that instructs them?
Tom
You know what I
Bosley?
mean?
Yeah,
Like a Bosley or an Alfred or
Charlie.
whatever that
Charlie's Angels
Yeah.
style.
Light face was from the Power Rangers that was
Yeah.
like, hey, do the things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's her name?
Emperor Palpatine.
His name? Her name? No.
Their name.
Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
Um,
Batman, I need you to. Anyway.
yeah, so Batman, I guess, calls Poirot in and is like, all right.
You think you're the world's greatest detective, but it is really I who is the world's greatest detective. Do you not know that that's like his whole slogan? Batman's slogan is that he's the world's greatest detective. Who would win in a fight, detective-wise? Hercule Poirot, or who would solve the case first, do you think?
Bane, I was born of the detective.
Completely derailed, and now we know it's the bonus part. Thank you for subscribing.
I have nothing to contribute.
So
So-
he goes to see Batman.
He goes to see Batman.
Mr. Wayne, or Officer Wayne, if you will.
Sure. And don't know actual character's name. Doesn't matter. So,
It never does.
no.
Just Arthur Hastings, Hercule Poirot, Mrs. Lemon, whose first name I don't know, and then everybody, and the rest. It's like a full Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, Ms.
Pretty
Lemon,
sure it's
thank
Miss.
you. Yeah.
Miss Lemon's first name is Miss.
Yeah. She is not married. Independent lady. Anyway, so Poirot gets there and they're like, this is super serious. We have an issue.
You have 38 hours.
And Jap is...
32.
And a quarter.
Don't forget about the quarter.
Yeah, sometimes that comes in helpful.
There's a moment where he says that, and it's the best moment on the entire series so far. It's so good.
David Suchet's little
Tiny
facial
smile.
expressions. Oh, yeah. He has so many tiny smiles in this.
He looks like, that meme of the cat with a knife pointed at it. Do you know this
No.
one? Okay, I'll post it on our Twitter for you to see. But I'll put it side by side.
Okay.
Great.
Anyway, so the prime minister has now been kidnapped.
For reals.
For reals, because the guy who showed up at the train station was a phony, a big fat phony. Going to Paris because there's a.
Is that
There's
revealed
conference.
this early?
It
Yeah.
must be,
Yeah,
because
it
otherwise
is.
the rest of it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Because he doesn't disappear. The phony prime minister does.
Oh, sure,
They
sure,
figure
sure.
it out pretty quick.
Gotcha.
Once that guy has to wash his face or something, presumably. He sneezes and they're like, "Hey, wait a minute."
Yeah.
Great.
Here we go.
Yeah, so that was just a red herring.
Yes.
And
Ugh.
and then, yeah, so they're like, hey, Poirot, and Chief Inspector Jap has recommended you. He's here too. And we
Yes.
want you to figure out where the Prime Minister is, please.
Can I tell you something that really bothers me about Jap?
Yes.
He always has one askance mustache hair, and it's just sticking at an arc, and in every episode it's the same hair, so that that's his real mustache. Like, they didn't put a false mustache on him, I do not believe. I'll have to look into that. But there's one hair that's just like, doink, and it's just like, ow.
Well, you know how some people have like a permanent cowlick?
Oh, yeah, I understand it. My hair does that too, but it's just like, ugh. Because, like, why can't you use mustache wax like Hercule Poirot? He clearly has a correct.
He's a man. A man's man.
He's got a man's, ladies' man's man about town.
Yes.
At some point, I think it's in this episode, Poirot's mustache is askew.
I missed that.
Rich pointed it out, and it was very troublesome. Anyway.
That is really upsetting.
Yeah, they fixed it. It's fine.
Could you imagine if they did like a special edition, like they did with Star Wars, where they went back and added a bigger mustache to all of these episodes?
Oh my god, yes, please.
Oh,
Like they just superimposed Kenneth Branagh's mustache.
Can you imagine?
Like that, like the reverse of the Justice League movie.
The Prime Minister has been kidnapped because
For the third time, it seems.
No, it's just the second time.
Because he's supposed to be at some summit with other world leaders to
UN.
kind of talk down
Germany
from rearming and potentially causing World War III. And at this point, like...
Wait, World War II, though?
Yes.
That's what I said.
Yeah. That is what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Good thing we can't play that back.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. No, that's right. Sorry.
don't.
Go continue. That is what you said. World War II.
So, that's
That's it. And then they have to go find him, and they have 32 hours and a quarter.
Because that's when he's supposed to appear at the summit.
So most of this episode is Poirot going around and talking to people and taking long walks and thinking
Yep.
Oh, he'd be thinking.
and making glorious little smirky faces.
Though there is a point when he's like traveling around, and at a point they have to go on this ship called the Destroyer.
It's a destroyer. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like a Navy
That's the
ship.
type of ship
Yes.
it is?
Right. Okay. Sorry,
Yes.
I misheard then.
No
Not like
worries.
Zoya, the Destroyer.
Yeah, no, not like that.
Poirot seems very reticent to get on the ship.
For two reasons. One, he gets very seasick. He hates the sea. The sea stings the sea. And then the other thing is they are trying to get... He sees through the ruse of trying to get all the investigation over to Paris, where the summit is, because that's a distraction, and they are really still in the country.
Correct on both counts. My point was, we've been in season 1 on a boat more than one time. So it just felt like now that we're on a bigger boat, he should feel more at ease.
Sure.
Or,
That was it.
Or he just is leaning into his phobia even more and like, you know what? We're just not going to bother. Just going to completely avoid it. Trying this tactic. I don't know. Maybe
I
it's
think
that.
it comes down to he figures out pretty quickly that it's a ruse.
I think that's
Yeah,
also
that's
it.
also, yeah.
I think that's mostly it.
Yeah.
Because Jap has kind of gotten to a point where he has accepted the foibles of Poirot, except in this episode, because he's brought on, like, Batman, and he needs Batman to be happy with him. So he's very stressed out about Poirot being weird.
He's sweating.
Yeah.
He's schwitzing.
And no, my pension.
Yeah.
And Poirot is just being as weird as humanly possible. And I think he's enjoying it. I think he's playing with everybody a little bit because he's just extra not telling anyone what's going on.
Which leads to a lot of really good comedic moments. This episode is very, very fun and very, very funny in my opinion.
So, yes.
So they go to investigate also, like, the people, the car that was shot at, and he's like, there's no bullet hole.
Yeah.
And isn't that strange? And he's like, well, no, they leaned out, and I'm like that. And he, like, leans his full body out of the window, and, like, he covers up the entire windows. He's like, that's not possible.
Right.
Let's go speak to the driver. The driver's missing.
Yeah.
And then the other person involved with the incident is also missing. And he's like, well, so this is made up. And everyone else is like, no, but we trust these people because they're members of our society. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, but...
But maybe we should talk to them. So he goes to... and the guy who was with him was ostensibly injured in the initial attack. Mm-hmm. So he goes to see his wife, his ex-wife.
Yes.
Who has... they had like a very public, juicy, as Jap says in the papers were like just full of these...
Full Brad and Angelina situation.
Yeah, details of their divorce. So we hear about this messy divorce, and so he's like, you know what, let's go visit her. Do they visit her first or him?
Yeah.
Her first.
So they go see her, and I forget everything about this interaction.
No. It's the husband first.
Oh.
It is the husband first because they bring up that they already saw the husband.
Yeah, that's
when
right.
they
That's
see
right.
her.
Okay, so they go to visit the husband, and he's the one who eats the egg in a just utterly bonkers way.
I completely missed that. I was too busy tending to our Twitter account at that time.
It's just like shell and all.
Shell and all?
It's
Yeah, he just cracks into it.
for the shell of it.
Like, he takes a spoon and just like scalps the little egg.
Ooh.
It's bad. Okay, we go in. He eats an egg bad, and
I am the Eggman Goo Goo Gajoob.
And we find out what? We find out that he doesn't know who the driver is, ostensibly.
Yeah.
He doesn't know anything that's going on. Basically, he's completely useless.
Because he was in the hospital during that time.
Right, yeah.
Because he got hurt somehow, and he's like, I don't know. I don't know her. I'm sorry to this man. I do not know him.
And Poirot goes over to the desk and asks to make a phone call, then stops mid-dial and says that he forgets.
Yes, because in a scene previous, we are in the driver's apartment, and Poirot finds a notebook or an
his
address book
under his pillow.
Very
and he
convenient.
goes, like, he's flipping through it, like, and on the page that's marked X, which, like, nobody should ever have, like, a filing in X, because unless you know, like, Xavier or something. There is a number
Professor
for
X.
Mayfair?
Yeah, Mayfair.
Mayfair.
A Mayfair number,
And he
yeah.
finds that odd, closes the book, and puts it back. Fast forward to the office, where he then tries to dial that number.
Yeah, or he goes to, like, basically make a fake phone call.
Yeah.
Stops in the middle, but he just wanted to get over to the desk to look at it. And it's pretty clear to, I think, all of the rest of us that that's what he's doing. He just wants to take a look at the desk. And he finds the same number written down, I believe.
Yeah. It is his number, in fact.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, the man.
Gotcha. Yes, that's right. So that is the phone number
And then he goes
of the
off to
person we're
bed.
visiting.
And Jap and Batman are like, how could you possibly sleep at a moment's notice? He's like, I'm not going to sleep until the Prime Minister is found. And he's like, well, that won't do you any good because you need to be able to think, stupid.
Oh my gosh.
And it's very good.
It's so good. And it is very, like, he says something about, well, I'm sure you're going to feel very virtuous getting no sleep.
Yeah.
And
But it's not going to be helpful.
I just love it so much because it is so true.
Yeah. Get you sleep,
And I love
kids. If you have a test to study for, don't do an all-nighter. Just sleep on
go
it.
to sleep.
And review it in the morning.
You'll be okay. None of it matters anyway.
The more you know.
School does matter. Mm-hmm. However, at a certain point, you know what you're going to know and go to sleep because you'll remember more.
That's true. You are going to know what you're going to know, and you can't know what you don't.
That's right.
So then they go to his ex-wife the next morning.
They also see a picture of her on his desk.
Yeah,
which is pretty wacky.
Yeah.
Pretty wacky. So they go and they talk to his ex-wife, who's not helpful. She's very angry.
Yeah.
Very
big mad, as the youth say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he's like, your ex-husband is suspected of a crime. Can you give anything to exonerate him? And she's like, no, and fuck that guy.
Yeah. Like, if it's not my murder, I can't imagine what crime it could be.
Yeah.
It's like, lady, calm down. Not everything is about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get anything out of her, and then they leave.
And then Poirot figures everything out. And
ad break. No, oh man.
Because he figures out, somehow, he figures out that they're both Irish.
Yes, they go back to the office.
And look up the estate.
maiden, and ask for the maiden name of the ex-wife.
Yeah, and there's this
And it's
exchange.
Irish.
Yeah, there's this exchange between he and Miss Lemon about like the estate that specific person would have lived on, and she's like, I think it's something like
that's
like
great.
like this syllable, and it's just way off base. It's very funny.
it is very funny.
Yeah, and like it's very well acted. A very funny episode all around, I would say. So they figure out where they're going and that they're Irish, and they're like, okay, so it's becoming clear that like this is to stick it to England, basically.
Yeah.
Which I fully understand.
I mean, it's a huge big deal. We cannot get into
we can't
the
get
whole
into
thing.
this. Just look at
Look it up.
Google it.
Look it up.
Fam, just Google it.
Yes, there are two sides to everything.
There are, and there is often a right
you know?
and a wrong side, Tyler.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
But you can make your own choice when you do your own research.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not here to educate you about the...
Great show. The Dairy Girls is on Netflix. Highly recommend looking into that. It's about the around the time of the Troubles in Ireland, about the relationship between Northern and Southern Ireland. That's
Okay,
all.
great.
Yep.
Dairy
It's
Girls
very
is great.
funny. It's
Yeah.
very funny. So, anyway, it becomes pretty clear that they're trying to stick it to England. Power to the people, stick it to the man. And they go to this mansion, this abandoned mansion, for a surprise.
For a surprise. Because they...
Because I realized that this is the final reveal, and we need to do an ad break, unless is there more that I missed? Something I missed.
It's fine.
Hello, this is Tristan Miller, the Saucy Sleuth. Thank you for listening so much. It's really appreciated if you're listening early on Patreon. Thank you so much for your patronage. Speaking of, if you're not listening early on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/ADCpod to support us there. We're trying to get 10 patrons so we can start doing the show weekly. And then after that, our next project is going to be a commentary for the original Murder on the Orient Express, I believe. We're also on the Scavengers Network. You can go to scavengersnetwork.com to check out all the excellent programming there, such as State Your Case, The Broads and the Bees, Newsies Minute, and also historical hotties on which both Melissa and I have guested. You can also go to audibletrial.com/ADCpod and get your free audiobook on us. We're not making like a bunch of huge shifts, but we're trying to give you more content and more consistency throughout this program, and we'd love to hear your feedback. You can contact us at amateurdetectiveclub@gmail.com or through Twitter or Instagram at ADCpod or on Facebook. We also have a Facebook group you can join if you want to discuss the episodes in Poirot or mysteries in general. Once again, thank you so much for listening. Tell your friends, rate, review, subscribe, all that content creator stuff. Let's get back to this very silly episode. Thank you so much for listening. Love you all. Bye-bye. Okay, we're back.
Yep.
Just like John Goodman as a T-Rex.
Oh!
Yeah.
Let no bad happen.
The weirdest. Too late.
Seriously.
Screw Eyes is an underrated villain.
Oh, he's terrifying. I'm so scared.
Oh, it's so great. Making the
Shot me
kids signing
back.
their own blood. It's like, oh my gosh.
It's so creepy. And the crows.
Goals.
Kids' movies used to be so terrifying.
I can't get into
Why did we stop that?
Because we're a bunch of wimps.
Yeah, exactly.
Cowards all. But like specifically Don Bluth films, like that hell scene in All Dogs Go to Heaven is terrifying.
Terrifying.
Which is, it's meant to be. Because he
Yeah.
was Mormon and very religious and be like, this is what happens.
5 goes west. You have a cat that thinks he's a dog. That's
Yeah.
scary.
That is
that's
scary.
amazing.
Hey.
I love that one.
American Tail said trans rights, so you need to sit down.
Did I say there was anything wrong with the film?
You said it was
Did I say-
scary.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And does it mean it's bad? No.
Okay, fine.
There's
Oh,
Yeah.
what's Anastasia? The
Oh, yeah.
in the
Rasputin.
dark of the night.
oh yeah.
That whole sequence.
Utterly
Oh, I didn't
terrifying.
think that was that scary. I think the
I think it
climax,
was terrifying.
though.
Like, it's gross.
It is
and-
nasty.
Oh yeah.
Where he would like
It's
him
gross and
like
dark.
just destroying bugs, but the end of that with
Yeah.
the train sequence was very frightening as a child. Anyhow,
Yeah, so they go to this abandoned mansion.
Yes.
this
And-
abandon, if you will.
Yeah.
And I mean, because we've basically Poirot has put together that this is where
Yeah,
the prime minister is being kept
yeah.
By the Irish.
by the Irish, and of course the driver's in on it. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's in
clearly.
on it.
Um,
The husband, the ex-wife.
And the driver.
and the driver.
driver.
Everybody, three of them.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So,
They all jump out and say surprise and start singing it. Could you imagine?
yeah, so they go there. The ex-wife and the driver realize they've been made. She takes the gun away from him, and the driver, I don't know what he does.
He runs away.
Okay, he runs away.
And then the ex-husband is also there trying to get the attention of her, trying to get to her.
Yeah. And they are... so the thing is, they were always conspiring. They never got divorced, or if they did,
Yeah.
they were still together. And it was just a whole ruse to make it look like they hated each other to cover it up.
Yes.
And so they surround the place with, like, oh my goodness, all the people in the world.
Yeah.
Everybody's
with
got-
some of the worst army acting I've ever seen from extras. Because they're clearly, like, none of them know how to hold a gun. They're all, like, looking at, like...
Yeah.
And there's, like, nothing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny.
My boyfriend, who's former military, took a look at the guy that was leading everybody in, and he's like, I wouldn't want him commanding me. He also commented on how he looks like an 18-year-old.
Yes.
Which he probably was.
Yes.
Um,
Well, you know, the draft.
but, yeah, so
They surround the
they
mansion.
surround the mansion, and Mrs. Lady goes up on the roof.
the highest peak.
Yeah, and very dramatically shouts Eringobrach,
Yeah.
and
Shoots herself in the
shoots
side of the
herself
head.
in the side of the head.
She does, unfortunately, commit suicide and fall very dramatically to the pavement. And this very...
I don't know, by the way, how she falls to the pavement, because she was behind a pretty solid, like a wall that was...
Well, it was like waist high, though.
You could
Like,
do a
they're
flip
still-
over.
Yeah.
I
Have
guess.
you ever seen a Western, Melissa, where they flip over the side railing when they get shot?
And possibly
Yeah.
the force of the gunshot, like, helped, like,
But it
bump
didn't...
her a little bit.
That's chaos theory.
But, like, the direction of it, I don't know. It
Yeah,
didn't
it
feel
seemed-
like... It's...
Very dramatic. They cut to blood splattering, and then...
Yeah.
Well, regardless, it's well deserved.
Yeah. Hey! I mean, terrorism isn't great. But, that's not a controversial statement. I don't think...
Terrorism isn't great. Tristan Miller.
Yeah, but they just play this very strange version of, like, a very Irishy sounding tune at the end, and it's very corny, and, like, this whole thing, the whole show is corny as hell, but, like...
Oh, yeah, of course.
But...
Corny, I'd say starchy.
Oh!
Ba-doom. Potatoes.
Was that an Ireland joke?
Yeah.
It was.
Yes.
It's a potato famine joke. Great. Good.
Yeah, where thousands of people died.
Oh, boy. So, great. Yeah, she's dead. And we get the prime minister back.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they
And-
drive home.
Basically. And Poirot's like, see, I got it the whole time. Ha.
Is this the one that ends with...
The tailor?
With
Yes.
the tailor. Yes, they go back to the tailor.
Oh.
Oh!
We forgot something clearly.
Oh!
Just like in the first scene with the tailor, when Poirot tells him to stop kvetching, I was just like, this feels gross and weird. And I don't like it.
Yeah, there's some representation of Jewish people in the last two episodes of this season that is interesting, to say the least.
Or like terrorism, not great.
Yeah, not great. Much like terrorism, anti-Semitism, not great. Yeah.
Yep.
At
the tailor, Poirot goes to put on his new suit, and he says, "This is too tight." And the tailor's like, it's funny that. It's because you had me make it with last year's measurements, dude. And Poirot's like, fine.
He might as well say "Dedoy." And at one point he's like, is this a tailoring or not? And he rips the sleeve off of the new jacket. Très dramatique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he finally agrees to let the tailor make it to his actual measurements.
Mm-hmm. He gives a smile, and then it fades away, and he's like, "Oh, hello, darkness, my old friend."
And that's the end.
Yep, that's the end. What do you think? What was the episode?
I would give it a 4 out of 5. I had a good time.
All right.
Yeah, it was harder to remember than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth. And the funniest thing, I was watching this, I'm like, this is a lot more clear than the short story made it.
Yeah.
But it's still very because there's like physically just a lot of travel.
Yeah.
There is. And it's also, it really is just mostly Poirot going back and forth, talking to people, and Batman being stressed out that Poirot isn't solving it when Poirot's like, haha.
I'll get to it.
Yeah. And it's really great, but explaining it to you is not the, like, this is, listen, we love doing this. Please listen to all of our episodes. But this is one you should watch, because it's not...
Just a lot of logistics.
Explaining it is kind of silly.
Yeah. It was difficult, but I did have a lot of fun.
Yeah, while it's happening, it's easy to understand. It's just like recounting it.
Yeah.
Right. Because, like, when did that happen? Is that important? No, yeah, I guess it is.
And maybe it's because I'd listened to listened to the short story beforehand.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And I kind of got there before the episode did.
Right.
So.
But I'd say like 3.5 out of 5.
4.5, loved it. So close to being probably the best episode I've seen so far. Very fun. I laughed out loud several times, which is rare for me, watching something alone by myself with hot cocoa.
That's great.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it was a very enjoyable evening.
Did I give something a 5
I know I have.
earlier?
Yeah, I think so.
Like a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, like this season's been incredibly solid. They've locked into what the show is.
Yeah, they're doing a pretty good job. Wait till the next one.
Any other thoughts, feelings?
So many.
But
you
about
mean
the episode?
About the episode?
Yeah. Well, then
I'll save it for the next one.
Okay.
You have to
know. Tune in next week
To
with
hear
Melissa.
Melissa's very exciting thought about something.
We're done. Adjourned.
Gavel?
Bye-bye.